Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Tuesday, July 25th, 2017. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. First, a check of the current signaling. Segregated witness is still signaling at 100%, with 759 blocks remaining before segregated witness locked in. Lock-in is expected on August 7th. In the last 24 hours, the price of Bitcoin was down 4.5%. with a last of 26.45, a high of 27.92, and a low of 25.48. Our top story today, Merrill Lynch is getting into Bitcoin. The major investment firm has taken interest in Bitcoin, and they're trying to see if they can see the next step in the money's evolution on safety. And they believe Bitcoin's similar to salt, and that Bitcoin will truly be digital gold, as you can see from this chart where Bitcoin is surpassing the gold price. Welcome aboard, Merrill Lynch. We've also got great news from Fortune magazine. LedgerX just gave us another way to bet against Bitcoin. Isn't that great? Actually, you can bet for Bitcoin as well. They're opening futures and options trading markets via LedgerX. These are also approved by the CFTC, the Commodities Future Trading Commission, the first approved Bitcoin derivatives. Interesting stuff. We're also joined by Jimmy Song. How's it going, Jimmy?
It's going great. I want to point out that the CFTC, one of the reasons that they gave for the Winklevoss ETF not being approved was that they didn't have any other regulatory agencies that sort of already approved it. This may give a path for another ETF to get into the mainstream. So that's good news as well. But yeah, it's been going great. I've been analyzing some of the Bitcoin ABC code, looking at Bitcoin Cash and things like that. A couple of notes. They changed the replay protection scheme so that it's not one way any longer. It used to be that if you made a transaction on Bitcoin Cash, it wasn't replayable in Bitcoin, but not the other way around. Now it's two-way because they merged in something, I think it was yesterday night, that made it so that it's based on SIG hash fork ID. A little bit technical, but basically it makes it so that transactions on one are not replayable on the other in both directions. So great news for a lot of exchanges and wallets and things like that, because you don't have to worry about this stuff if customers are asking for funds. Another thing that I did was I posted a tweet earlier today about just a very rough look at what Bitcoin ABC is. It's based on Core 0.14.0. It has about it has a lot of commits, most of which are actually like formatting C++ and things like that. But it removes replace by fee. It removes SegWit. It adds the UAHF spec that Bitmain tweeted, wrote about a month ago, and it's mostly two developers, FTrader and Dead Linux. So that's something that you should keep in mind if you're thinking about doing anything with it.
Jimmy, what about the block size? I've heard they're going to instantly raise it to 8 megabytes. Is that true?
Yeah, so it is going to be raised to 8 megabytes. The only real restriction, I think it's based on the emergent consensus sort of idea from Bitcoin Unlimited. So it can get larger than 8 megabytes, but there's sort of like a soft limit at 8 megabytes, at least initially. And the forking block has to be greater than 1 megabyte with all of these, with SIG hash hard fork or whatever. So, that's going to be interesting because I think those are going to have to be manufactured manually, because I doubt there's going to be a megabyte of those types of transactions right when the fork happens.
Now, for potential problems with an 8 megabyte block, obviously it'll break all of the Raspberry Pi miners. Is there a problem with the Great Firewall of China, or maybe internet bandwidth problem for some miners?
Yeah, I mean, storage has never been really that big of a deal. It's almost always been throughput and bandwidth, and obviously a lot of ISPs restrict sort of upload speed significantly versus download. So, if you're running a full node, it's going to be kind of hard to get the 8 megabyte blocks, especially if, because the hash rate for Bitcoin Cash is going to fluctuate, I imagine. It might be 1% of Bitcoin, it might be 0.5%, it might be 5%, and it'll go up and down constantly. So you might find a lot of blocks quickly, and depending on how their difficulty adjustment thing plays out, it may be that you find a ton of blocks really quickly. So that's something to keep track of. And if they're all 8 megabytes, well, then that's going to be a lot. But at least initially, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem, because I don't expect that many people to be transacting on Bitcoin Cash, at least initially. If Counterparty or Omni go on Bitcoin Cash instead of Bitcoin, then that might be another story. But as far as I can tell, I don't expect transaction volumes to be that big, at least initially.
Now, yesterday I called this despicable Bitcoin Cash, meaning that it's something worth being despised. And one of the reasons I despise Bitcoin Cash is because they're stealing the name Bitcoin. This is not their name. And as we've seen on Twitter just 8 hours ago, they're also stealing memes associated with Bitcoin and reusing them for their own means. Here's a meme of me dressed up as Marty from Back to the Future, thanks to Philippe.com. And as you can see, they're using it to advertise what they think the future of Bitcoin is, Bitcoin Cash. Now, to their credit, they did take this post down after they were told that we didn't like it. But it should be clear that we don't like it. If we made a meme to support Bitcoin, it should stay a Bitcoin meme. You can make your own Bitcoin Cash memes. No one's stopping you. But that's part of the problem here. We have people who aren't creative, people who don't see the past, people who don't value the history of Bitcoin, who are coming in, stealing that history, and then repurposing it for their own means, as well as we can see, cheap advertising. We're also joined by Tone Vase. And if everyone could give us a thumbs up and a share, we've got 239 viewers. That'd be great. Tone, go ahead. What's going on in the markets today?
All right. Oh, just before I get to the markets, you know what? Let's do the markets first, and I'll comment on what Jimmy said. So here's the weekly chart, and the week has just started. We've got plenty of time to go. And this is basically neutral. If you are a trader of Bitcoin, according to my indicators that I know a lot of people are confused about because they've never seen that before, but that's okay. According to my indicators, if you are a long-term trader using the weekly charts, you are neutral. This color flip from red to green put your position from a short position into an all cash position. You are now waiting for a new high. If this week we start trading above last week's high, which on Bitstamp was at 2,938. The moment this week trades above 2,938, I will call Bitcoin a long-term buy trade based on the weekly chart. The daily chart is a lot trickier. Those that watched me on this morning's show or my own YouTube channel would have heard me talk about this bullish pennant for a couple of days now, even just as it was getting started. There was a couple of things I was looking for. For those new to technical analysis, this is the kind of shape I was looking for, where you have this big pop and then you consolidate in a triangle and then you pop one more time, approximately the same distance. So on this chart, you see this is from P to Q, and it would go from F to G. I'm not sure why these letters are so randomly out of order, but that was what I was looking for based on this pattern. And these patterns generally work, and they're pretty consistent. So, but there were a couple of things going on. First of all, this move was pretty big, so a little bit of a bigger pullback is not the end of the world. We were coming up to a point. I expected a $650 pop tomorrow, and it was going to be helped driven by fundamental news. Basically, I expected most traders to realize that Bitcoin Cash is just incredibly stupid, and it's not actually going to cause any damage. It looks like people are way more interested in getting free money from selling their Bitcoin Cash, and I think that most of them will just end up losing their Bitcoin instead. The universe doesn't really give you free money. It's never that easy. But the flag pennant is not working out. They'll give it another day or two. these things do tend to go into bear traps and bull traps. So it's still very possible we can rally and still do this in a few days. Now, according to this numerical indicator that you see above, the color flip was not ideal. You really wanted this to go into a green 9 and then give you a sell. The color flip at this point does two things. One of them, it actually keeps the bull trend alive because we can now set up for a brand new 9 count to the upside. However, there is now a 1, 2, 3 coming in from this red 9. So there is a possibility that we're going to meander down to a 13 to create your buy point. Also, because this color flipped from 1 to 2, if you're only trading this numerical indicator and you are ignoring any other patterns and trend lines and moving averages, then Bitcoin on the daily chart was actually on a short trade the moment we started trading below yesterday. So yesterday's low on this doji style candle was 2,707. So the moment over the last 24 hours, or over the last 12 hours, I should say, the moment you started trading below 2707, you could have actually shorted Bitcoin right off this indicator. And let's see what tomorrow brings. If we go much lower, then, but I doubt that. Like, I'm very bullish Bitcoin right now. I'm not too worried. All right. So that's pretty much the technical side. Just want to do one very quick comment on what Jimmy said. So Jimmy, the way I see it is one of the reasons why Bitcoin storage hasn't been a problem was because Satoshi limited it to 1 megabyte and not 10 megabytes. If the block size limit was 10 megabytes as of 2010 or 11 when he added it, we could be looking at a 5x bigger blockchain size today in total, and then storage would become a problem because now we're pushing onto a terabyte in order to keep the history of transactions. I think it's insane to have two people code your Bitcoin source code, and one of them has a name of Dead Linux, so that's perfect. So again, to me, the BCC is complete nonsense, and I'm not really scared of it.
All right. Thanks, Tone, for that report. I'd just like to thank everyone for watching. We've got some great stuff going on in the chat. Mario sent us a message that BCC will fail. We have a new feature in the chat today called Super Chat. If you want to spend a couple of bucks, you can make your message highlight, like Mario's message here. Those donations go to the World Crypto Network. Thank you for your support. Just a couple bucks, no big deal. And we've also got the Patreon campaign, which is doing really well. We're up to 54 patrons, just short of our goal of 100 patrons. You can subscribe down below. We've also got our Bitcoin address, donations welcome. And just for today's special, I wanted to show you live. This is what's happening in our address. We've had a couple donations lately. I wanted to thank 0.00045717, 0.00102, and 0.036126. Thank you for your support, and thanks for making this possible. And I think we're out for today. We've got the Bitcoin meetup coming up tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. I'll be recording it live and streaming it on the internet. Tone will be there asking questions and torturing the panel. And I'll be there torturing the panel from the stage. But thanks so much for watching. We're running out of time. And I just wanted to say, the saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. It comes from friends and loved ones.